Hello, I'm Sally. Welcome to my channel, and to another video on the Lillee Jean saga. Once again, Lillee Jean's mother, Lore, has been talking about bringing legal action against content creators she dislikes. As always, her sights are set on Diane Awesome Laser.
A lot of you seem to be very good friends with these people. So I ask you this, and I really want you to write me back about this. Will any of you pay for Diane Appleseed's legal expenses? Because she will have legal expenses, okay? She may not think there's a legal case against her, and that's her problem, not mine. The bottom line is she has a legal case against her, okay? It just takes time for papers to be put into court. Most of you don't know that.
Moments later in her video, Lore Truman threatens to sue viewers and supporters of Diane by obtaining subpoenas of user IP addresses.
All you people, some of you are young, some of you are older. I assume you're all going to help Diane with her legal fund. I would assume that because you're all good friends, right? You do all know that every one of you that continues to sit here writing, you're not anonymous. You do know that IPs are tracked even with hoppers, and we can find out who you are through subpoenas. I mean, you may not know that, but yes, you can do that. And so therefore, she may be the one being sued, but you guys are going to be sued too, okay? Not individually, per se, but you might want to ask your own legal counsel, how does that work? Now, I'm not going to tell you how it works because I don't want to give my
Lore later
secrets
claims
away.
that the reason she continues to issue copyright claims against content creators is because the videos in question do not qualify for fair use.
Why did I strike down other people? They literally used my entire video, okay? And they didn't ask if they could use my video. It is not fair use. Please reread YouTube's fair use action. You will find that what you thought was true is not true.
The following is from YouTube's policy on what constitutes fair use. In the United States, fair use is determined by a judge, who analyzes how each of the 4 factors of fair use applies to a specific case. 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes. 2. The nature of the copyrighted work. 3. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for, or value of, the copyrighted work. Courts typically focus on whether the use is transformative. That is, whether it adds new expression or meaning to the original, or whether it merely copies from the original. In every takedown notice issued by Lore, YouTube has sided with the other content creators that their videos are fair use. In one of her own takedown notices, Lore herself concedes that the video quote transforms the work immensely, demonstrating that she does not actually understand what fair use is in the first place. In another attempt at filing a copyright complaint, Lore uses a false name, Rachel, and lists an email address that has been previously linked to her own Reddit account. By doing so, she may have committed perjury. In the same video, Lore claims she does not bear the burden of proof in her accusations against Diane and other users critical of her and Lillee Jean.
Listen. I don't have to prove who I am. I don't have to prove what my company was, is, and is going to be. I don't have to prove what Jeannie's management is. I don't have to prove who my lawyer is. I don't have the burden of proof. Diane, you do.
However, Lore is completely incorrect on this matter. The burden of proof is always on the person who brings a claim in a dispute. It is often associated with the Latin maxim, semper necessitas probandi incumbit ac agit, a translation of which in this context is, the necessity of proof always lies with the person who lays charges. In civil suits, for example, the plaintiff bears the burden of proof that the defendant's action or inaction caused injury to the plaintiff, and the defendant bears the burden of proving an affirmative defense. The party that does not carry the burden of proof is presumed to be correct, until the burden shifts after the party with the burden of proof meets its burden. An example is in an American criminal case, where there is a presumption of innocence by the defendant. Once a party meets its burden of proof, the burden then shifts to the other party. So, contrary to what Lore may emphatically state, the burden of proof lies with her, not with Diane or with anyone else who may be likewise facing accusations of defamation. Speaking of which, what exactly is defamation? Defamation is defined as the oral or written communication of a false statement about another that unjustly harms their reputation. In the United States, a Supreme Court decision in 1964 stands that public figures can win a libel suit only if they can demonstrate the accused defamatory party had, quote, knowledge that the information was false, or that the information was published, quote, with reckless disregard of whether it was false or not. The controlling precedent in the United States was set in 1964 by the United States Supreme Court in New York Times Co. v. Sullivan, which is considered a key decision in supporting the First Amendment and freedom of the press. A fairly high threshold of public activity is necessary to elevate people to a public figure status. Typically, they must either be a public figure, a public official or any other person pervasively involved in public affairs, or b a limited-purpose public figure, those who have thrust themselves to the forefront of particular public controversies in order to influence the resolution of the issues involved. In Sullivan, the Supreme Court adopted the term actual malice and gave it constitutional significance. The court held that a public figure suing for defamation must prove that the statement in question was made with actual malice. In his concurring opinion, Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black explained, malice, even as defined by the court, is an elusive, abstract concept, hard to prove and hard to disprove. The requirement that malice be proved provides at best an evanescent protection for the right critically to discuss public affairs and certainly does not measure up to the sturdy safeguard embodied in the First Amendment. In an oft-quoted line, Justice William J. Brennan acknowledged that the actual malice standard may protect inaccurate speech, but that the erroneous statement is inevitable in free debate, and, it must be protected if the freedoms of expression are to have the breathing space that they need to survive. A public figure is a person, such as a politician, celebrity, social media personality, or business leader, who has a certain social position within a certain scope and a significant influence and so is often widely of concern to the public, can benefit enormously from society, and is closely related to public interests in society. In the context of defamation actions, libel and slander, as well as invasion of privacy, a public figure cannot succeed in a lawsuit on incorrect harmful statements in the United States unless there is proof that the writer or publisher acted with actual malice by knowing the falsity or by reckless disregard for the truth. The legal burden of proof in defamation actions is thus higher in the case of a public figure than in the case of an ordinary person. I'm sure some of you out there are rolling your eyes and wondering what this legal background has to do with Lillee Jean and Lore Truman. Well, I would put forth that Lillee Jean is, for what it's worth, a public figure. Currently she has over 1 million subscribers on Instagram, nearly 9,000 on YouTube, and some 10,000 on Twitter. Now, bots and socks notwithstanding, she does have a public following of sorts. And, according to her own website, she is a quote, model, actress, artist, motivational speaker, environmentalist and well-known beauty blogger. She's also had an active internet presence for the past 9 years. She has graced magazine covers, she has brand deals with major companies, and she constantly promotes herself as a major figure in the beauty community. And whether she or Lore like it or not, videos about Lillee Jean have amassed millions of views on YouTube. I would therefore submit that Lillee Jean is a public figure, which means that the burden of proof she must reach in order to successfully claim defamation, is much, much higher. As an additional note, insults and name-calling are considered protected speech and do not qualify as defamation. In summary, Lore is threatening Diane, those who support Diane, and other content creators who have been critical of Lillee Jean, not just with false copyright claims, but also with legal action for their alleged defamation of Lillee Jean. Lore doesn't seem to actually understand what fair use is or how it works and possibly committed perjury by filing multiple false claims. Lore also doesn't understand what defamation is, or understand that because Lillee Jean is, for better or worse, a public figure, she will have a very difficult time in successfully pursuing legal action against people who are merely stating unpleasant facts. So that's it. That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, friends.